Good afternoon. We're out of the morning time over here. Good afternoon, everyone. We're very excited about this new series we'll be doing. We're calling it our Lightbulb Moment because we know that the ever-changing landscape of digital marketing. You blink and there's a new social media. You sneeze and the social media doesn't exist anymore. How customers are getting information, choosing to do business with you is changing every day. So we have to stay on top of these things. And we want to do these webinars periodically, mainly for you, our clients, because we really enjoy working with you all to stay on top of what's coming. Should we be changing strategies? How do we make this bigger, better, faster, stronger? And I know there's a few guests out there as well. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Our goal always is to be a resource for you. So be it these webinars, podcasts, working with us, interacting with us, we want to be a resource to grow your business. So my name is Jason Hansen. I am head of digital here at the Light Digital. And I am so happy we have Shannon Kinney as our guest speaker today, talking about content, developing content. So she's going to go fast and furious through that, leave time for your questions at the end. So some facts about Shannon. A lot of people don't know this, but she was with us, I want to say it's a month ago, and we did a great workshop over here in Richmond. But a lot of people know her. She's a big name in the digital space. She's worked with the companies, consulted with companies, I don't know if you've heard of them, Google, Facebook. She was instrumental in launching LinkedIn, one of my favorite social networks. She helped grow Career Builder, Cars.com, so a lot of big brands, digital space, big brands, but what we love about her is her love for small business. She's served thousands and thousands of small businesses, over 40,000, in many ways, doing a lot of workshops and webinars. So to say the least, she is very experienced, and I always learn something new. So I'm excited she's here. I know you're going to learn something. So let me quickly just give you an overview of what we look at. We try to break down the digital space in simple terms because I'm a simple guy. I need it in layman's terms. With all the information out there, they say that every minute 512 websites are born. That's crazy. How do you stand out from that? Well, there are steps that you need to take in order to shine online. And it starts with foundation, your website, your location online. And there's a lot of facets in that. But not only your website, people don't just think of your website. They're going to Google. They're asking their life questions on Google. I know when I was becoming a new father, I was asking, how do I keep babies alive? How do I change a baby? I was asking Google that. So you have to be able to be found in search. But now there's this whole other aspect. We don't even just search the web like we used to anymore. We are in our own worlds, our own curated worlds, in our social media worlds. So with these three buckets, your website, search, social, how do you stand out? Well, today, I'm going to let Shannon take over. We're going to talk specifically about content. You are your own media company, whether you're a plumber, an architect, an accountant, an actual media company, you are your own media company. Content is important. So Shannon, teach us. We need your help. How do we shine in the internet?
Thank you, Jason, and thanks everybody for being here today. I'm really excited to talk with you about what types of content it takes to be successful and other ways to shine on social media. As many of you know, particularly those of you who are already clients, you know that our big goal for you is to connect you widely and post regularly to make sure that you're top of mind with your customers. You want to discover and share content and be a resource, and that's something that we work on for all of you. And then blogs and branding matter because content is something that people really engage with. In today's world, as Jason said, you know, people are less responsive to advertisements, but they're really responsive to content. And so the team at the Light Digital really wanted me to put together some ideas for all of you on what makes good content and how can you use that to create content worth sharing that people will be interested in reading. The other key piece is different content for different channels. When you come up with a great idea, it might work well on one social network, but not as well on other social networks. So we have a few examples today of just really what motivates people to share or talk about content so that you can get some ideas about what you'd like to see for your business. You also want to listen and respond to people, stimulate conversation whenever you can, build engagement with your content. Engagement is the holy grail for nerds of us, like us in marketing. Really, it just means that people are reading, liking, sharing, commenting, responding to your content. That's what engagement means. And of course, remember that the pages are like the telephone. So if people are actually interacting with you in your content, you want to make sure that you're answering them on your channels. So we talk about relevant content. Where does relevant content come from? Like, what is relevant content? You know, and in many cases, it has the opportunity for you to think a little differently about your business. And you take like all the things that you think are really important for people to know, and then there's all the things that your audience might be interested in, and the intersection of those two is really what relevant content is. And so I'm going to have plenty of examples for you here today so that you can see some examples of relevant content and get some ideas about what it might mean for you. And as I mentioned, the key here is we really want to build engagement. You want to make sure that people are paying attention to what you're saying, that it's not some one-way street of you blasting out, here's what I do, here's what I do, here's what I do. You want to make sure people are engaging with you, particularly if your target audience is younger. They consume content much more quickly than people who are, say, over 40, like me, and they're also really very engaged in content if it's relevant to them. And oftentimes, as I said, what it really takes is a different point of view. You have to stop thinking like the owner of a business and really think about, what is my customer like? What is it they're going to respond to? Or what's a different way to say this or tell this story? I've found that in many cases when we brainstorm here in the office of different ways to sort of illustrate a point or tell a story, in many cases the ones that are going to get the most response online are the ones with just a totally different take or a totally different point of view. And I'll show you some examples of what I mean. And as I mentioned, the really key thing here, stop thinking like the owner of your business or the marketer of your business and think like a customer. What is a customer going to type into a search box if they're trying to figure out how to take care of their baby, like Jason was? What are some of the terms that matter to them, and not necessarily the terms or phrases that may matter to you as the business owner. So the more you can put your sort of head in the head of a customer, the better off you'll be. Some of the key things that we think about are, what are they like? You know, what are the demographics? Are they male? Are they female? What age range are they in? What kind of job do they have? What kind of education have they had? You know, anything that you can think about that can help you sort of paint a picture of a persona of one of your customers. What do they like? Like, what are they interested in? What motivates them? A great example is saving time is a key motivator across many demographics. And if you want to speak to somebody who's trying to save time, that's really a very different tone than somebody, for example, who may want to research heavily buying your product or service. So understanding what motivates them and sort of how to communicate with your customer is going to be a big key to success. How do they spend their time? What else could they be doing other than reading your post or attending your webinar or whatever else you have going on? And finally, what are you asking them to do? Do you want them to think differently about you? Do you want them to respond to a form on a website? Do you want them to sign up for a webinar? What is it that you're trying to get someone to do? And be really clear and straightforward about it, and you'll get better results. And you know, I have signs with this hanging around our office. What's in it for me? That's really what your customers are thinking when they take a look at your content, they take a look at your social channels or your website, is they're really trying to tailor what you're saying to apply to them. It used to be that you would go and look at a purchase and do all this research on a purchase and then try to translate it to what it means to you. Now, many businesses are customizing proposals based on what individuals are looking for, because many of us are so busy that we just need something tailored for us. So when you think like a customer and you're thinking about relevant content, remember that what you really need to do is get to the heart of what's in it for your customer. Now, the big thing in social media and web content is sharing. You really want, as much as possible, to get people to like your content, comment on it perhaps, or engage in a conversation with you, but the holy grail of all of them is the share button. And there have been several different studies on what makes someone share content. And I wanted to start with that for a minute so it could inspire you to think about your own business. This recent study by the New York Times shows and ranks the psychology of why people share. To share information that they feel is relevant to the recipient, to support causes or issues they care about, to stay connected with people that they might otherwise lose touch with, to connect with others who have similar interests, because it makes them feel more important or informed in the world, to express some aspect of their identity, and I'll talk a lot more about that in a minute, and to share products that they care about, changing people's opinion or encouraging people to think like they think. So one that's a very, very big one is making the reader identify with the content. BuzzFeed, I've got a few examples from BuzzFeed. They have some of the most shared content worldwide on social media as well as on their website. So they also use these same premises of how to get it shared, and the biggest one is make the reader identify with the content. Now this one here is a simple example. Which golden girl are you? You know, you've all seen stuff on Facebook that's like, you know, you're a child of the 80s if, or do you remember what this is? And those are just plays to get you to identify with the content. Now in terms of your businesses, it could be something as simple as thinking about who your target audience is and having photographs of that audience in there. So for example, if you're targeting millennial women and you do a photograph of your product or service in use, you probably want to get a millennial woman in the photograph because it will help somebody immediately classify it as being relevant to them because they identify with the content. Here's another example. Which declining social network are you? And getting people to get interested in saying which one is them. This one was actually shared more than 18 million times on BuzzFeed, which is what career should you actually have? It was posted 2 years ago and is still being shared in 2016 because people identify with it and they think that it's going to help them know themselves better or validate their choices. Another thing that you can do that creates fantastic content and makes people want to share is if you can teach, empower people, help them do it themselves, or be a resource. Now, for many of us, this may seem counterintuitive. For example, I'll have blog posts on my site that teach people how to do some of this on their own, when in reality, I want to sell them services. It works because you become the go-to person that someone's going to think about when they're trying to figure out how to solve a problem. And if and when they're ready for help, it'll be you that they think of. In the case of Pinterest, which is one social network, DIY is one of the most popular categories on the entire site. So people are pinning and saving things to learn how to do it themselves. And in any way you can be a resource to save someone time, save someone money, or help them make a buying decision, that kind of content really performs well online. Here's a few examples from BuzzFeed again, because I wanted to sort of stay consistent with the theme. How to have the best literary wedding ever, or my favorite is 41 tailgating tips that are borderline genius. So these are just ones that give you some ideas of how to be a resource. Another one that works really well is making people feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. Making them feel part of a cause, making them feel part of a movement. Whenever you can do that with a person, it really does encourage them to share your content or engage with your content at a deep level. And I have a couple examples here for you. Here's more BuzzFeed, 24 reasons everyone should see Maine before they die. That happens to be where I am right now, and you definitely should visit. If you come, make sure you let me know. That makes you think, okay, I'm from Maine, or I love Maine, so I want to share that because I feel that way. I identify with this, and it's something big. Here's a local example that we have where we're trying to help people feel like part of it, even and allow them to be part of the movement. And it costs just $2.05 to provide a hot meal to someone in need. We posted this and reached more than 8,600 people and got 344 reactions on this post, because it is a great example of people being able to feel like they're part of something, that it's accessible to them, and that it's larger than themselves. Here's another example where we used a similar post, only on Twitter, thanking Little Caesars Pizza for brightening the day of one of the guests and bringing in some pizza. Another thing that you can do that really helps people want to sort of identify with your content and engage with it is whenever you can evoke emotion. Obviously, you've probably heard jokes about cat videos or baby videos or puppy videos. Whenever you can evoke emotion, people want to share it. In this case, it's watch this tiny dog faint from happiness when she sees her owner after 2 years. People just want to click on that so that they can find out what the dog does, particularly in video. Evoking emotion in video really does provide a lot of interest and engagement with your audience. Upworthy is another great site if you're interested in seeing some examples of content that's produced to evoke emotion. That's really everything on the site Upworthy. And here's 2 examples for you. And they don't all have to be heartstrings and nice. Sometimes they can be angry. I never thought a slice of pie would make me so angry. And of course you think, what could possibly make you angry about pie? Let me find out. And here's a local example from the East Bay Agency for Children, where we really want to evoke emotion. And by that, you're seeing that we say we work every day so that children affected by trauma can reach their full potential. And you see the picture and it sort of tugs at your heartstrings, and you think how important it is to help children see their reach their potential. And in this case, that particular post and that photograph got us more than 18,700 people reached with it and are paying attention to what that said, and I have some stats here for you on that. And we also have Church of the Highlands. This is another one where you're really helping someone, you're evoking emotion and helping people feel larger than themselves. Here we learned that after posting this kind of content, really engaging with people and helping them feel what the church is doing, over the year-over-year has raised their website traffic more than 563%. People are reading more content on their website, and less of them are leaving really quickly, which is what a bounce rate is. You know, somebody that clicks through to the website and then realizes they didn't want to be there and backs out. That's a bounce. So by encouraging and creating engaging content on social media, we've been able to really increase their traffic long-term, help them on search engines long-term, and people are more likely to come back and see new content. So when you can really reach people and get them to become part of the content, then it can drive results for you long-term. In this case, we had more than 10,000 people interact with that video. Some more stats on it. You can see that the minutes viewed of that video is significant, and it allows us to know what pieces of content we're doing that are working and what pieces aren't working. Another thing that you can do to really get people excited is answer their questions. This example here is one of our clients who's actually also my brother, if you don't mind saying, and I share that with this story because when I first asked him to do this particular video, he was so frustrated with me. He's like, Shannon, you don't know anything about my business. Nobody cares how we tune snare drums because it depends on the drum, it depends on the kind of music being played, it depends on the person, and that's just a silly question and I'm not doing it. And over time I cajoled him enough that he finally said, fine, I'm going to make the video and show you how few people will watch it. So it was called How we tune our snare drums. And really what it is that people know that they can do it differently for themselves, but they want to know how he does it. And they want to know if he's, selling drums to really famous people, they want to know what does he think is the way to do it. So, I joke and use this one as a screenshot just to spite him, honestly, but we got more than 159,000, almost 160,000 views on that video in just the first few months of it being out there. People really do want you to answer their questions, and there is no dumb question. So think about the most frequently asked questions about your business, the objections you might hear in sales, or any of the things that people want to know about, and proactively answer them in your content. Another reason people share, they want to look smart. So it's more than 1/3 of all tweets on Twitter that are retweeted are sent by somebody who never read the article. They just see they see the headline, they want to look smart like they've read the article, and so that is a huge driver of people sharing content, particularly on Twitter. And visuals matter very much. So for those of you who are clients and you're trying to think, I'm not going to write any content, but how can I help create relevant content for my business? I would say photos, 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 and maybe a quick video now and then. The more visuals that you can provide, the more engaging your content and more successful you'll be on social media. People retain 80% of what they see, but only 20% of what they read and 10% of what they hear. So visuals matter a lot. And here's the example of a company called Tom's, where you can really see what their core mission is just by looking at some of the photographs without even reading in detail what they do. You can see that a big part of their proceeds are going to help people in need, kids, young girls especially. And here's an example also of your story as a business. Your story is great content, and people want to get to know businesses that they work with better. In this case, this is a local example of Seven Flags Car Wash, where we showcased service advisor Emily, and she was really having a great time. She's obviously enjoying her work. She's busy. A car is just going through. But we reach more than 7,000 people because they're like, oh man, she looks like she's having fun, and people are engaging in the content. So telling your own story can really get people to react in a good way. And also helping people understand how they fit and can identify with your content works really well. In this case, we did a post for Vandenberg Dental, and it just says, love your smile again. We can help restore your smile. And it's really, it's not expensive to get a screening. By doing this and putting a little bit of paid budget behind it, once we started to see it get really good response, we reached more than 41,000 people with this particular post and getting people in for new screenings. Oops. Excuse me. And I also have another one from them that's sort of the exact opposite of what you just saw. I mean, this one is a real sales-oriented post. And then this is one where we wanted to just showcase the team and tell their story. And in this case, they were celebrating another great year. And they closed the shop and went out and had a good time together and had a little bit of fun. And you get to see the people's faces that actually help work on your teeth. And people really responded well to that. We got more than 15,000 people reached with that particular post. And your customer story is content. For so many of us, we're not selling a product or service. We're selling how we make someone feel. If you're a builder and you're building homes, it's not just about the craft and the craftsmanship that you put into the home. It's about the experience of how that makes someone feel when they buy a home or when they get their new home or a remodeled home. In this case, this is an event that we work with called the Maine Lobster Festival, and we're able to post pictures. On the one on the left here is a picture from 1952 that I asked, like, hey, do you know who these people are? And we started to get all these comments with people who were like, I know who that is. In the case of this, they found that one of the girls was someone's aunt. We figured out what year or what they were doing, why they were in the funny lobster suits. And on the other side, when we posted a picture of a particular character, Blackbeard, in the comments, all these other people start sharing their story of when they've had their picture taken with Blackbeard or their experience. And recognize that the more you share your customer's story, the more people will engage with the content and respond to it. So we're just before 30 minutes. I wanted to make sure we had plenty of time for questions, and Jason can help us understand what questions are in, so please feel free to put some right in the chat box and let us know. And to Jason's point, there's really 3 key pieces to helping you shine online. Having a mobile-friendly website, because more than 65% of all searches are done on a mobile device with a small screen. Make sure that you can be found on a search engine. And it's really about content on social media and engaging consumers in what you're doing and what you have to say. If you learn nothing else today, I want you to think about your greatest assets are photographs and video. It's okay if you don't write a thing, but if you can help get some photos of your customers, of your product or service, of your projects that you've worked on, of your products, of your team, those are the biggest assets that you can offer to anybody who's helping you with your social media. Think about what your story is and what is your story? What differentiates you from other people? What makes you different? The more you can articulate that to the team, the more we can help you stand out. As I mentioned, your customer story matters so much, and the more you can get feedback, whether it's testimonials or even how you make them feel, the more engaging your content will be. Another great example of that is we work with a security company, and one of the things that differentiates them is the technology that they leverage to make sure that your home is secure. But as much as they wanted to talk about technology and they gave us all these binders with all these different statistics about the equipment, we recognize that really what we're selling is peace of mind. It's the customer experience that somebody can trust the team and know that they'll be there if anything happens, and also their story is a lot about how safe they feel. That's really what we need to be talking about. People don't buy technology, they're buying security and trust. Think about how you can help people and become a resource and what makes you different. Those are your greatest assets, and they help anybody who's working on your social media, whether it's us at the Light Digital or whether it's someone on your own team. Those are the big things that you can pull together. And if you need any help with this, or you're not sure where to start, or you want to talk about the content being created for you, or have ideas for content being created for you, make sure you let the Light Digital team know.
Thank you, Shannon, so much. That quiz, that BuzzFeed quiz, what career you should have, I'm sure if you took it, it would say you're in the perfect role. So thank you. So much.
Thank you.
We have some really good questions. Some of them have similar. They're looking for ideas, so I'll get to those in a moment. This was a good question. They want to know, is there a science between the ratio of sharing what they said other people's content or creating their own? Is there a scientific ratio in what it should be? Any thoughts there?
A lot of times it depends on the business, but what I can tell you is we try at least once a week to have something that is authentic to the business itself. For some businesses like mine or the Light Digital, we want to share a lot of content all the time. So for us, our ratio of shared content versus original may be way higher than it would be, say, for, I don't know, a dentist office perhaps, or something else. So it depends on your business, but what I would say is we ought to be shooting for at least once a week to be something authentic to you, and then a couple of times sharing other content if it's relevant to what you do.
Okay, great. And then a few different industries looking for ideas. So they're looking for ideas of what type of content they should create. So we have I'm an optometrist, and I would like to know what type of content, just some ideas.
Okay.
We also have a roofer and exterminator. So.
Oh, great. Okay. So
is it for everyone? Should everyone be producing content? That would be my question from these, and then maybe we can throw out some ideas.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, as we showed earlier, the content that comes from the exterminator, the roofer, and the optometrist, in many cases can be about their business and their team and their customers. So it doesn't mean that you need to be doing deep content, although when you can, it's super helpful. We have one roofer that our highest ranked blog post is about how to choose the right materials for your roof, and how to understand how to get the best out of your investment. In the case of an exterminator, how to know what to look for with certain things that are triggers, whether it be, termites tend to really inflame people, bed bugs tend to really inflame people, and we've had a lot of success with that. In optometrists, a lot of it is about the kinds of advice that an optometrist would give a patient about coming in regularly and making sure that you get your eyes checked, about things that you could be doing, whether my contacts are affected by the fact that I'm always next to a screen. That kind of information is helpful, as well as if you sell glasses, how to choose the right frames for your face is one of the most engaging posts we do in some different ways. We'll do before and after pictures of people. We'll do little articles about how to choose frames or choose the right product for you. That's always a winner.
And what I heard from each of those examples, you were putting yourself in each of the customer's shoes. I'm looking for a roof, I have bed bugs, I need glasses, or I'm looking at maybe changing up the style. You were putting yourself in the customer's shoes, so not the business shoes. That was interesting. You weren't thinking, as a business owner, what would I like to share? You were thinking, as a customer of this, what kind of content would I want to consume, or what information am I looking for?
Right, it's exactly right, because it's, we're all so busy that unfortunately we all think the world revolves around ourselves.
Yep.
And so if you want people to engage in your content, the more you can relate it to them, the more they'll pay attention to what you have to say.
Yeah, that's great. So one takeaway, if whatever industry you're in, if you don't think I should be creating content, well, that's like saying my customers don't have questions before coming to me. They don't have problems before coming to me. Create content to answer those questions, solve those problems. You want to be seen as an expert.
Right.
So I want to be mindful of our time. Again, you can contact us at any time. If you have questions, we're here for you. We're going to do these periodically, so look out for more of them. A good way to do that is to subscribe to our blog. We'll keep you updated there. For those, of course, who are our clients, you're talking to us all the time, but those who this is your first time being introduced to the Light Digital and our Lightbulb Moment series, go to our Facebook. You can reach out to me personally, give me a call. Any questions, we're here for you. We are that resource. So, Shannon, thank you so much. Let's keep small businesses. This is fun.
Great. Thanks so much for having me. Thanks, everyone, for your time.
Bye now.